Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Better Together podcast for real estate agents. I'm your host, Kiki King, and today we are here with our broker in charge, the amazingly talented and one of my best friends, Blanche Jones. Thanks for being here with us today, Blanche. So Blanche, you have almost 20 years of experience in sales and management in real estate. You also have two amazing and really smart kids. And you're actually also serving as a trustee for the Hawaii Association of Realtors Leadership Academy, otherwise known as HARLA, right?
Yes.
And so could you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Like, where did you go to school? Anything else we should know?
I am a Farrington High School graduate. Yay, Governors!
Go Govs!
And I also graduated from the University of Hawaii at Manoa in political science, which is where I met my husband. And worked as a paralegal for a little bit before we were ready to buy a home, and I stumbled into real estate and never left.
Oh, that's so interesting. So your background as a paralegal actually really helps you in your position today as a broker in charge, doesn't it?
I think it does. You know, it helps me understand the laws behind a lot of what we're doing and the why we're doing it. And it just gives me a little bit comfort knowing that I have that background to be able to help others.
Oh, that's good. So tell us a little bit more about the broker group that you work with here at Locations.
The BIC group meets bi-weekly, and we discuss risk management and contract strategies and trends, and we develop a unified effort in rolling out the different things that's happening in the industry.
So I love how the brokers actually collaborate with our sales coaches to bring the most current strategies and contract trends to our agents so that they can do their job at the highest caliber.
Right. And I like the way that we can come up together with training classes, workshops, risk topic, all for the betterment and education of our agents.
Yes, and to serve our clients, right? Yes. Okay, so you know, at every stage of the market, our brokers are the front line to see what's happening and what's trending in contract strategy, in negotiation trends. So Blanche, you're here today to share with us some of the trends that you've seen in the way that agents and clients have been strategizing their contracts as the market has been transitioning in these last few months. So as part of our top-notch broker in charge team, can you share with us some of what you've been seeing recently?
Yeah, you know, first of all, I'd like to say that in every market there is an opportunity, and it's our job as agents, despite what's going on with the crazy out there, to find that little gem on how we can move our clients and our agents forward. So I wanted to say first, we just always need to remember to be positive, be adaptive. If you have a listing, then you need to list it right. And therein lies the rub sometimes with our sellers, because I think some of them are in 6 months prior to what the current market is. So we need to help them understand what's going on with our buyers. It's with regard, everyone's so concerned about the interest rates, and to try and paint that larger picture and then work really closely with lenders to see what might be the best package for them. So everything is doable, you just have to keep moving forward. And also being a neighborhood expert, that is huge. You know, there's so many different things that's going on in the market, and it is all over the place. And so if an agent would actually just focus in on what it is that they're trying to accomplish, learn that neighborhood, and then they can truly help their clients. I think ask around, ask other experienced agents. And that's one of the great things that we have at Locations. We have staff, we have, like JJ, we have other brokers, we have selling brokers that are out there that know so much about what's going on, who have been through the different cycles, that have a wealth of knowledge to share. And the partners, our partners are so giving and sharing with their knowledge and their expertise that agents just need to ask. I think that's one of the things that we have here at Locations. We really, truly want to help our agents succeed, and we share that information.
I love that. I love that. So regarding the negotiations and contract strategies that you've been seeing come through, I know contracts, like you mentioned, some of the sellers are still in a mindset of when it was a very brisk and robust market, and things have shifted a little, So what have you been seeing differences in the way people have been writing their contracts or making offers?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the shift is this. In 2021, there was a frenzy with the market. Things were happening at such a quick pace that buyers were having to write overbidding offers in order to even just be recognized. And we were paying for sellers' expenses like the TIR and the condo docs, and paying for surveys or reimbursing for surveys. And we had appraisal clauses and J1 concessions. That was what the climate of 2021 looked like. In 2020,
it was crazy, right?
It was crazy. Like, what is going on? And it was so quick. Things have slowed down. The pendulum has swung in 2022. So now what we're seeing is that there are some concessions with the J1 that I still see where they're saying, hey, sellers, we're not going to ask for anything during the J1 concession. Just because they're wanting to say, accept my price. But for the most part, we just need to be very aware of what's going on in the neighborhood in order for us to realize, because we are still getting multiple offers. I have heard agents indicate, and this one was in Waipahu. I had a couple in Waipahu actually. And this is where it made a really big difference with regard to relationships. It was because they had such a good relationship between the buyer and seller's agent that offer was accepted, even if there were like 30 showings and I don't know how many offers that were submitted. Wow. Yes. So it's still happening. I think you just need to have the relationship and do the same things. There are trends that are not, they should never go away. The trends like also being, call the other agent and see what it is that, be inquisitive and call the other agent, find out what it is that the seller needs, all the basics. If it's something that you can write into the contract on the timing, that would be helpful to the seller. Then all of the same basic things. Always have good relationships with agents. Was there anything else? Kiki used to be a BIC. Was there anything else?
No, those are all really good points. Those are the things that never change, right?
Yeah, those are the things that never change. You should always be doing these things.
Yeah. Absolutely. Those are definitely the basics that we all need to revisit, I think, in this time where it's not as frenzied, it's not as crazy as it was before, but the basics of just having good relationships with other brokers, the basics of understanding what the seller's needs are when you're drafting your offer as a buyer's agent, and trying to make sure that you hit all the right points. As much as possible.
That's right. You avoid that counter.
Yeah. And like you said, in this season of the market, it really is important to be a neighborhood expert because we are seeing different trends in different neighborhoods.
Right.
Which, like you mentioned, the shared learning that we have here at locations is so important because what's happening in one neighborhood could be completely night and day from what's happening in another neighborhood, right? And that could completely change your negotiation strategy.
That's right. So the market has shifted in Eva, in Waianae, in Mililani even, and it's pockets too. And it depends on what the type of property is. You know, there was, I don't know if I mentioned this one before, but there was a property in Waipahu that also had multiple listings due to the fact that it was a home care. And right now, apparently, it's what people want to do. And so
with the aging population,
yes,
right? I can see.
So it just depends on location as well as what it is.
Oh, interesting. That's a great tip.
So Kiki, something else that we are seeing with regard to financial options is I've seen USDA with zero down. So depending on the geographical map, lenders will be able to inform you whether or not a buyer may be able to use a USDA loan. And in this one particular instance, I saw where there was zero down payment and the sellers gave a credit.
Wow.
A credit to close. And so that was wonderful. There's that. I've seen the 2-1 buy downs now where the sellers are crediting. And with that one, you just have to crunch the numbers, because if the seller is looking at a possible price drop, having to change their price, who wants to do that? What they might be able to do is, if you get a lender to help you crunch the numbers, you can show at this price if it was less, and what the credit would be if they worked with a certain buyer, it might be less. And so that might be advantageous to entering into a contract with a seller who is willing to do that kind of 2-1 buy down credit. That's really helpful for the buyers.
Interesting. These kind of financing options were really not existent
No.
in the market that we've just recently come out of.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And speaking of non-existent, VA assumptions is the last one. So we are still learning about that one. We've got some things in escrow and we're going to see how that pans out. But I'm learning that there are 2 different kinds of VA assumptions. One is where the seller would like to have their eligibility returned back to them, and that one's a little bit more complicated. Minimum time for that one, I think, is 4 months. Like I say, we're still learning about that one. And then the other one is where the buyer will assume the seller's VA loan at their nice low rate, and
That is great.
Yes, that is really nice. And then the eligibility will go with the property. So meaning that the seller, for whatever is remaining on that VA, their eligibilities, they cannot take with them. And that one is the more common one. But there are programs out there to help buyers navigate this challenging market right now.
Wow, that is so interesting. You know, with everything that you shared with us today, it is clear that the value of a great BIC team is in the knowledge that you guys share, in the strategy that you guys help to discuss and share with our agents so that they can service their clients at the highest level possible. I mean, we have some of the best brokers
Oh, thank you,
in the
Kiki.
industry here at Locations, in my opinion. Okay, so before we leave, Blanche, I just have to ask you one more question. So in your nearly 20 years of real estate experience and everything else that you've experienced in life, can you leave our viewers with one final piece of advice?
At the end of the day, I think if your presence has assisted someone in your life, whether they be a child, your client, a coworker, if your presence helped someone that day, then I think it was a day well spent.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is a perfect piece of advice. And just your presence being here today, you have helped us so much in understanding the contract trends of what's been happening in the market as we transition. So thank you so much for being here with us
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Kiki.
Thanks. And I hope that you guys have learned a lot from our discussion here today. I'm your host, Kiki King.
And I'm Blanche Jones.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Better Together podcast for real estate agents. And be sure to keep watching for more content to help you build and grow a thriving real estate business. See you next time.